Back from recess. Prior to going on recess, we ended with the Tinian Municipal Council. Up next, we have the Department of Finance. On Tinian, there are 5 divisions under the department. We have Finance and Accounting. They've requested for an additional FTE, however, that was not allocated in the governor's submission. Under Rev and Tax, they also requested for an additional FTE, but that was not provided. Procurement and Supply also requested for additional FTE, but that was not provided. Customs, their FTEs were maintained, as well as, and under the administration, they requested for additional 3 FTEs, but that was not provided. Under each division, the request is very minimal in regards to operational expenses. The bulk of it being travel, fuel, technology equipment, and office supplies. We have before us is Chief of Staff for the Mayor, Mr. Perez, as well as the RDH for Finance. And at this time, I recognize the RDH, Ms. Aquilino, to provide any statements if you have one prepared. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the Fiscal Affairs Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Department of Finance's budget request for the fiscal year 2025. Our priorities this year are essential to maintaining and enhancing our operational capabilities. My name is Melissa Mendiola, and I am the Resident Department Head for the Department of Finance. Also joining me this afternoon is Chief of Staff Alan Perez, and some of the department staff that may answer questions you may have for each division. Firstly, we urgently need to address several vacant positions that have been left unfilled for an extended period, specifically the Administrative Officer 1 and Supply Technician 2 positions that were announced in November 2023, and the Revenue Technician 1 position was announced in March 2024. The eligible list of applicants for the 2 positions were not received until June 7, 2024. It took nearly 7 months for our office to receive the eligibility listing for the Administrative Officer 1 position and 3 months for the Revenue Technician 1 position. The delay was due to the routing requiring certifications from different agencies. By the time we received this list, these positions had already been removed from the Governor's 2025 budget proposal. Even so, the hiring process for the chosen candidates to fill these positions has already been completed. The request for personnel actions has been sent to SIPAN since June 2021. However, I was recently informed by OMB that hiring for these 2 positions is only good for the probationary period up to September 30, 2024. Unless otherwise, the positions are reinstated by the Governor for 2025. On the 1st of August, OPM also informed me that the candidates are able to get their pre-employment drug testing done, but with these positions being removed from the Governor's proposal, it is risky to proceed. The applicants will not resign from their current job to take on positions that are only guaranteed up to the end of the fiscal year. On top of that, the positions under the Division of Procurement and Services, Supply Technician 2 was announced, but unfortunately, there was no applicants. Moreover, it is crucial for these vacant positions to be reinstated on the 2025 budget, as these positions are the only ones for the division, and other one is also assigned for Treasury Cashier. The duties and responsibilities of these positions are presently being managed by an employee under the Office of the Mayor, facilitated through a memorandum of agreement. This agreement is not sustainable in long term, and filling this position is vital for the department to function effectively and meet its responsibilities. In addition, I am requesting for 4 FTEs for the Division of Customs and Biosecurity. Due to the recent increase in construction and military operations for the direct airfield project, the workload has significantly increased as well. Customs and biosecurity play a major role in protecting our borders at both air and sea ports. Inspectors must be vigilant when performing inspection to ensure the island and ecosystem are protected from invasive species. The clearance of incoming goods must be thorough before entering the island. These factors underscore the importance of supporting this enforcement agency to fully protect the safety of the island and our people. In addition to the 4 FTEs, I also included the salary adjustment recommended by the desk audit that was performed in September 2021. I understand that given the current CNMI government financial status, this may not be the best time to consider salary adjustments. However, I wanted to put this on record so that if at any given time our government has the ability to fund such adjustments, we may refer back to this proposal to situate the matter. Another critical priority is securing funding for operational expenses, including fuel, office space, rental, office supplies, and communication. Not being given any operational funding for FY 2024 was very challenging for the department. We were not able to purchase anything. I have requested for the department lapses to be reprogrammed, but it was not possible to be done at the moment. I've also requested assistance from the Secretary of Finance, but that was not possible as well. Fortunately, the Office of the Mayor has been assisting our office with our key priorities, spending over 50,000 specifically for office space rental of 2,400 a month, communications, fuel, and basic office supplies for revenue generating divisions and administrative supplies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield now for any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, and I stand corrected, and I apologize, Ms. Mendiola, for referring to. Can I just get some clarification on the positions that are in the process or were in the process of being filled? You mentioned there was an AO, a Rev Tech, and then the Supply Tech, which no one applied for. Is that correct? So there were 3.
Yes, there were 3.
The AO would fall under
Financial services?
otherwise known as Finance and Accounting.
Yes,
And then what about the Supply Tech?
under Rev and Tax.
Was that ever reannounced?
No, it was the one for procurement services that they announced, but there weren't any applicants.
Did you request to get it reannounced? Or?
We only received that June of this year. We got the notice from OPM that there was no applicant.
Okay. The AO and the Rev Tech that are currently, in which you currently have applicants for, are they current government employees?
One is, and the other one is in the private sector.
Okay. Which would be the current employee? Which position is that current employee?
Not current employee of the Department of Finance, but
In another
elsewhere.
agency. How much is the AO position?
24, if I'm not mistaken. 24,
And then the Rev Tech?
90, maybe. 18, sorry, 18 for the Ref Tech.
You also mentioned that you need an additional 4 FTEs for customs, but I don't see that in your request.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I have here the revised one. May I give it for you guys? to-
Your revised submission? Okay.
Yes.
So you're gonna need an additional around 96,000 to cover these 4 positions. The rental that you indicated under this one division is to service all divisions, correct?
Except for customs and biosecurity.
They have their own office?
They're situated at the seaport,
Okay.
CQ building.
So the 28 will cover the other,
The rest of the
Four
divisions, yes.
can you repeat what you mentioned about a cashier?
The cashier is the one, it's the RevTech.
Okay.
So the RevTech and the AO are the ones that I was informed by OPM last week that they're ready to take their pre-employment drug test.
But only for the probationary period?
Yeah, just up to September 30.
Do you know what the balance is of your CIQ?
No, I don't have the access to that account.
Have your customs officers been getting overtime and being paid for those overtime?
Yes,
Okay. How much would you say in overtime expenses have been,
as of last pay period, it's a little bit over 19.
since the start of the fiscal year?
Yes,
And these 4 additional positions with that, so your 11 current positions for customs, how are you assigning them? Where are they situated at?
they're situated down at the CQ building at the seaport.
All 11 of them?
Yes,
And then the additional 4 would also be at the seaport?
yes.
So you don't have anyone assigned like at the post office or the
Oh,
airport?
yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. My name is Richard Lazar from Custom Biosecurity. For clarification on your questions with the 11 personnel, we do have people stationed at the airport, the seaport, the post office, and with an additional 4 staffing that would increase our capability to manage the multiple port of entries, because currently we're managing the airport, the seaport, Baker Runway, and the post office. And usually, currently, we've been working all the different ports with the military's unscheduled flights and cargo drop-offs and stuff and training. So that's why we're requesting for additional manpower, because even with our current personnel now, we have people that go on leave and put us on a shortfall that makes it difficult. For our division to manage the operation.
Okay. How often do you see activity within the airport or the seaport on a monthly basis?
On a monthly basis, every week we see activities at the airport, and with the movement now of the military exercise and floor operation and Red Horse back there, the military has been doing a lot of charter flights coming into Tinian. That's coming in maybe twice to three times a month, and they're also doing their own direct flights with the military aircrafts, bringing in uh, the brass to do inspections or come see what's happening back there.
Do you guys have a canine?
No, sir. So currently, Tinian doesn't have a canine for drug enforcement, nor a canine for brown tree snake. So brown tree snake canine has to come in from Saipan. We do have a personnel here that does visual inspections for some of the flights, like MAC flights or the charter flights. But as far as canine for brown tree snake, we usually have to put in, or they'll send down somebody from Saipan to do it.
Okay. Is there a reason, has there been any discussion with Saipan Customs in getting one of the canines down here?
Currently, no, sir. We haven't really discussed about having a canine handler for drug detector in Tinian.
Have you made that request, though, seeing as how Rhoda was able to get one through Customs?
No, sir. I haven't. I'm just one of the supervisors, but not one of the OICs to actually put in that request.
Okay. Do they send down officers with canines, or?
Yes, they do. Director Mufnas does give us the support for canine capabilities when needed, like whenever there's big operations in Tinian or festivals when we know, because we've seen what the methamphetamine movement has been, right? So to deter drug movement, we do send down the canine on schedule to do runs at the airport or at the seaport.
Yeah. Okay, I'll save some of my questions for the closing round, and so at this time, I recognize any member. I recognize Senator King Evers.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon, Mr. Lazo. Good afternoon, Ms. Mendiola. First of all, if you could give us a roundabout, or if you have any information as to what the operational tempo has been, and the increase in flux in the goods coming through the seaport and airport, that has gone from that you've seen from last year to this year.
Well, coming from the custom biosecurity side, the tempo from the seaport has increased dramatically. I mean, we were getting ships like once a month from last year to having it on a weekly. So we're getting schedules Monday, Tuesday, and then they'll come in on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we have the big shipments that come in. But due to some of the permitting process now that is delaying that's what's holding back some of the big shipments that are supposed to be coming in. So movements have been very busy down at the port, and likewise with the airport as well as Northfield. So Northfield, although we have the runway projects at Northfield, we still have the military doing trainings back there on a random day of the week. So they'll just schedule and let us know that tomorrow they're doing a touch and go operations back there, and they might be landing to drop off cargoes and passengers. So those are the things that are unexpected that we just have to be ready for it at all times.
And just for clarificational purposes, I'm guessing the reason why they're not announced is for security reasons. They have some kind of protocol in place.
Yes, but we do have communication with the military, the naval NAFAC personnel, and they do keep us in the loop about all the trainings, and most especially aircrafts that are moving into Northfield and the airport, do it for biosecurity purposes.
And so I know Director Mendiola had said that 19,000 has been accrued to date of OT. Has that been ramping up, or has that been consistent for the fiscal year? Like, is it an average thing, or did it start off okay and now you guys are increasing the volume?
Actually, the overtime has been increasing because the average overtime in the previous year would probably be around that 5,000 to 9,000. But with all this movement, it has doubled. So I'm pretty sure and certain that by the end of this fiscal year, we're gonna surpass that 19,000.
Sorry, can you just get clarification? So the overtime cost, are you able to separate that between what's the CIQ portion being paid for by the fees and what's been incurred by the department separate from that CIQ?
No, because currently our overtime is being deducted out of our wage and salaries in Tinian's operation, so it's not coming out of CIQ.
Okay.
And currently, what we've been working on currently is with the director and revenue and the treasury is to try to get the payments going to our overtime to subsidize back our accounts, our salary and wages, so we don't hit that red in the end of the year, because it's been happening that it's been deducted out of our operations and salary and wages, and the payment has been going to another account.
So could you kind of walk us through how your shifts are staggered and how you guys are adapting to the operational tempo to include the unexpected military trainings, the touch and goes, the brass that are coming in? How are you guys dealing with your shifts and your hours to kind of augment them?
So we do operate a normal work schedule of 7:30 to 4:30, but when operations do hit, operations like for the seaport, it would rely on the shipping company or the agents, right? Like they'll do operations, start operation from 6 to 6 or 6 to 7 in the evening, and they will shut off and continue the next day. And now for the military operation, it's basically the same. They would run the latest up to 9 o'clock in the evening with their flights, but as far as that, they won't surpass that time. So how we manage our manpower is we rotate. So we'll have somebody at the airport, and then we'll rotate out. Like someone works today back at Baker, the next guy will be back there, rotating shifts. So when they're out working throughout the day, we give them the relief, break in between, so they can manage the. And even on the weekends, everybody takes turns. So we schedule everybody out to. Everybody gets a fair share of overtime as well.
Okay, understood. And then Director Mendiola, you did say that you guys have a MOU with the mayor's office, correct?
Yes,
And how long has that MOU been in place?
she's been with the department since 2021, 2022.
And then you did mention that there's some liability issues or I guess breaking protocol, that it should not be an MOU, it should be somebody under the revenue tax, correct? Or treasury, the cashier,
The,
the treasury cashier that you guys have a MOU for?
no, we don't have any MOU for treasury. It's only for the admin under the financial services division.
Understood. And the reasoning behind moving that from the MOU is just so it's under the Office of Finance? Is it for security reasons? Is it for?
The MOU to treasury?
Yes, ma'am.
No, we don't do MOUs to treasury.
No, through the mayor's office. So you said you had one staff.
The MOU from the mayor's office is under financial services,
Okay, and then.
not the cashier.
Okay, so from the MOU from financial services, it should be removed from the mayor's office MOU and should be put under your office, correct? Is that what you're saying?
No.
So you're asking for an AO position in addition to the MOU that you already have, or is to allow for the MOU to transition?
No, I think it's going to be a transition. So currently, our MOU works as our administrative assistant or officer. She's doing the admin work there as an MOU. But we have the AOL position announced that the one director saying that's only available for the probationary, the money disappeared, is not going to be available for 2025. So for the Rev and Tech, that was another vacant position that vacated when one of our personnel moved to the States. So if that's another position that's ready for hire, but it's only for the probationary period. The funding is only available for that. Yeah, to September 30. So that we're requesting to try to reinstate back those funds because we currently have people ready to fill those positions, and they're not going to take the risk of leaving their status now for a 30-day job or 90 days.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for now.
Thank you, Senator King. Never, sorry, just to clarify again, going back to the overtime, would you say the 19,000 that you've incurred in overtime, are those, majority, if not all of those, were incurred because of because you've been operating outside the business hours, or because of the lack of manpower within the current operating hours?
It's operating out of the business hours.
And have you reached out to the director in regards to getting the CIQ for those hours that are worked outside? Because those monies, those fees that you assess are charged to the CIQ account, correct?
Yes.
And so have you reached out to the director to see if those monies can be transferred over, or? I'm not sure. How does it typically work? Is it a sub account for Tinian, the CIQ?
So how it goes at present, when the customs and biosecurity perform overtime, it's the agencies that are built for that overtime. And normally they will pay upfront. The issue here that we're having, which the secretary and Director Mafnas are aware, and Ryan from the secretary's office is working with customs into situating the account, because what's happening when the agencies pays the Department of Finance for the overtime, it goes to the CQ account. But then when compensating the officers for the overtime, it's coming out from the division's account. So it doesn't balance. That's what makes the Division of Customs and Biosecurity deficit at the end of the fiscal year. So what needs to be done is to situate the account where the overtimes payment are being received to this account, and at the same time, when payroll comes in, the customs officers' overtime are being paid out from that CQ account.
But do you currently have a sub account for that? In the past, were those monies transferred into that separate account, and then you expense
That
out of
will
account?
be the financial services and the secretary's offices. That's their access. I do not have the access for that.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we keep part with monitoring whatever overtime that's being occurred and whatever payments that we receive, so that when it's time to do the recon, at least it'll be much easier and faster for Saipan. If they need the information from us, at least we have them.
Okay. Do you have any data as to how much you've collected in CIQ?
Yes, we have that, but I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
I believe it's payout or the
Collected
collected.
in the CQ.
Just for Tinian, of course, right? From what I can remember, because I asked, no, it should be more.
Okay. Well, in any case, we'll request our fiscal analyst to send an inquiry to OMB and Director.
Sorry about that.
No. Thank you. Any other member? Recognize Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Director. Same topic on overtime. So to date, you've incurred about 19,000, correct? And I know you just explained that the bulk of that, or if not majority of that overtime is due to the operation outside of business hours, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So do you anticipate more of this overtime for FY '25?
Yes.
And, okay. But, so right now, it's being paid incorrectly out of the division's budget, because it should be coming out of the CIQ where the money is being, okay.
Yes.
And at some point, so that's already been communicated to the secretary, right? And her team. Is there a turnaround time of when that is going to be resolved? So that the division's budget can stop, they can stop tapping funds from the division's budget?
The last time I spoke to Ryan, because there was some glitches between the customs system, because they're still under the AS400, known as JD. Now, comes with the new account for the OT to be set, it's with Munis. So customs is claiming that they cannot generate the overtime billing outside of the AS400 system.
Okay. I mean,
But
so-
I will continue to reach out to them, because it's
Yes.
going to keep accumulating every pay period.
Yes, that's where I'm going with this, right? At some point, they're going to have to find some kind of solution to resolve this issue, because you cannot continue to operate this way. And so if there's already communication or dialogue between, the municipality and the secretary's office, then that's good news. But I hope they move sooner rather than later to resolve that. Earlier, there was a mention of reprogramming requests, and I believe he said that you were told that it wasn't possible to reprogram funds. Is that what you said earlier?
Yes.
And who said that? And
We,
why?
I made the request to OMB.
Oh, to OMB?
Yes.
To
and
whom? To Miss Vicky?
to Miss Vicky and Jasmine, since
Oh,
she takes
Jasmine,
care
okay.
of Tinian. So in the beginning, I was told that it's approved. I was specifically told by Miss Vicky that she's approving it.
Okay.
But then after days that I keep picking in the system if it's finally posted, So when I followed up, they said that due to some issues, they are not approving any reprogramming requests from any of the departments.
What are those issues?
That I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, I mean, you can't just like tell somebody that you can't do it because of this and not be able to give them specifics. Issues can be a range of all kinds of issues. So my recommendation is to be a little bit more assertive in the future when asking, just so that you can truly understand the nature of, it's affecting you guys. And I think, Chief Purse, did you have something to add?
Yeah, so in regards to the reprogramming in FY '24, I personally met with Vicky in February.
Okay.
And the issue was very clear. The entire municipality has projected deficit. So at that point, we weren't able to do any reprogrammings from that point
Yes,
on.
you mentioned that earlier. Yes.
So individual departments that had lapses, we asked them to go ahead and try
Sure.
and see if you could just separate the two. But unfortunately, even those wouldn't go through. So in FY '24, we had no reprogramming availability to cover any of our expenses.
So what happens to all those lapses?
There are none. And that was the whole point. So when you take a look at the FY '24 budget, and again, we really do have to go back and we run through the numbers of DPS and DFEMS, their accounts alone. So I just met with the Deputy Commissioner for DFEMS. So if you took them and you budgeted them at 96 hours, In FY '24, with the current employees, they needed 1.2 million. They were budgeted 663,000. So obviously, they're allowed to work at 1.2 million. They're given 660,000, so they're going to have a $600,000 deficit.
Yes.
There's nowhere in the department that's going to make up for that difference. And then you tag on DPS the same way, because everybody else is working 70 hours. So there were literally no personnel lapses available for the municipality of Tinian in this fiscal year.
But that would be year to date, right? So if they were going by let's say monthly or quarterly, I mean, there's no way that you guys would have already exhausted what was budgeted.
So what they did was they took the annual projection. I mean, I
Right.
have it right in front of me. So what they did in February is they projected it to the end of the fiscal year and basically said, Tinian, you know, our number says that you're going to be negative 430 at the end of the fiscal year. So unfortunately, you're not capable of doing any
But
programming.
that's not actual. Like, you can't just make that rationale based on projections. Projections are projections for a reason. They're planned. So unless your actual numbers tells you otherwise, then,
I think the argument is, yeah, I mean, there are certain areas, whether it's through, you know, time and attendance and through vacant positions, but I think their position is to make up 430,000 in a fiscal year would be very, very difficult
Sure.
to come positive.
Okay.
So
All right.
that was our situation.
Okay, thank you for the
For all of the
clarification.
departments.
Thank you for the clarification. And then the K-9, I know that Customs brings the K-9 here with their officers, right? How often does that happen? And what would be the recommended visits you would make?
It happens maybe twice a year.
Twice a year?
Yes. And that's a random, not unless there's an actual tip that would,
Sure.
you know, for sure get them to really look into it, but or requests put in.
Okay, twice. And what would you recommend is a reasonable and realistic, amount of visits?
Well, for Tinian, I'll probably recommend maybe once every quarter.
Once,
Yeah,
okay.
be realistic.
Okay. It's concerning, right? Because with the increased activities taking place here on Tinian, you want to have a little bit more presence to ensure that the community is safe from any, criminal activities taking place, and also just entering the ports. So, okay. And I know that Rhoda has one K-9, so I know the chair had asked you earlier if that was a request that Tinian has made, and you said no. But is that something that you guys would be willing to request for one, so that you don't have to rely on Saipan to come and...
Yes, I think in the future we will be making that request to
Okay.
have a K9 present in Tinian. But currently, I know the reason why Rhoda was prioritized for a K9 is because Rhoda is further away from Saipan, where all the dogs are at. So it will be easier for somebody from Saipan to just come
Okay.
down to Tinian,
Okay.
through the boat. Since Custom have multiple boats, they can just make it here in less of
But that
time
kind of
than trying
defeats
to
the
get
what you just said, right? Because if they only come twice a year, it should be often.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but
More frequent.
Yeah, but upon request, it's
Okay.
readily available in Saipan.
Okay. Would you say that you guys get the support from Customs in Saipan?
Yes,
Okay.
100%. Director
Great.
Mafnas has fully supported Custom and Biosecurity in
Okay.
Tinian.
That's great to hear. Thank you. So for travel, there's a budget request for $10,000. Can you enlighten us on what that travel cost is for?
Is that for Custom and Biosecurity?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, $10,000 would justify travel for training purposes.
For training, okay,
So-
so under training, personnel training, that doesn't include the travel costs, right? So it's
Yes.
separate. I do
So-
see a budget request of 10,000 also for personnel training.
Yeah, because currently most of the travel done for Custom Biosecurity is for training purposes and meetings.
Sure.
So we do go up to Saipan and meet with Biosecurity team in
Okay.
Saipan as well as the custom team.
Okay.
And, we meet to how do we mitigate the current situation in Tinian and what's happening.
How often would you say you guys travel up to Saipan?
So I was just up there a couple of weeks ago with a meeting with the
So throughout the year,
Biosecurity. Yes.
what would you say average number of trips?
Maybe once every quarter.
Once every
Yeah.
quarter? And like how
And-
many staff?
We'll be like two staff,
Two staff?
attending that. And there's also other, not just for biosecurity, but we also have the task force team.
Okay.
And so each personnel in customs and biosecurity do have a certain concentration. So they do go up to Saipan and merge with like the federal agencies or
Okay.
other departments up there and do
So
trainings.
the
So-
Saipan office is very inclusive of
Yes.
Tinian. Okay, that's good to hear. And then, so for utilities, are you guys on prepaid or postpaid?
That's for customs or is that for main
Customs,
finance?
customs.
Okay, currently we're on prepaid with the post office.
Okay,
As far as our seaport office and the airport office, we do not pay for utilities, but we do pay for communications, internet.
okay. And you're asking 4,500 for communications. Okay. Okay, that's all I have, Chair. Thank you.
Recognize Senator Hofschneider.
I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, good afternoon, Director, and everyone else. Good afternoon, Mr. Lazar. Thanks for enlightening the committee with the details. I do want to thank, the support, primarily from Customs Central and all the support as you indicated. The only thing is, Director Melissa, so with your, and I appreciate that you come up with a revise, because if one can revise, then others can also revise them based on your needs. So I appreciate this. Can you, maybe either you or Mr. Lazar can just give us this is a comfortable figure as far as the number of FTE you're requesting, the additional 4. Is this, you think this one would diminish the overhead in terms of the ops coming up in the FY 2025? And I think sometimes we undermine the exhaustion of you and your fellow customs biosecurity officers. And I noticed, I took note of your saying that you rotate and making sure that everybody, sometimes up north or in the airport and all that. So whereas you're generating extra, but there's also that exhaustion aspect, no? So can you just...
I totally agree with you, Senator. And the number 4 is actually very minimal. If we were gonna be practical about it, I would double our current staff. Because 4 is not enough actually. Like you said, officers get stressed out. So, I mean, with just the daily operation on a weekly, and we're operating for 2 weeks nonstop, we stress out. Our families get stressed out, right? They want us home too. So doubling that number 4 is very low. It's not enough. But if we can double our current personnel by 10, that would really alleviate the pressure on all of these officers, and also with overtime work.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lazar. So can you just take us through the annual trainings that requires your intervention, your inspection, versus that one inclusive of all the seaport activities, the constant airport activities? Can you tell us or share with the committee? Okay, let me say, for example, I'm going to use real numbers, no? There's 5 trainings every year with the military, and it's not CJMT, it's not divert. Okay, so just 5 regularly. You and your staff are responsible to go and make sure you clear them. So with that 5 training, what other additional, was there additional 5 right now? Or is there additional 10? So I'm just trying to come up with a scenario. Ne? Was there an 100% increase of response or service or 200%?
Coming biosecurity side,
Biosecurity, yeah.
there's always 100% response for coming from
No.
biosecurity in Tinian.
No, I'm just
Yeah,
saying
so-
the frequency of influx of direct flights or ships. Kwanto na, did it increase exponentially in terms of the flights coming in?
Ungen. Yes, every training they multiply, and
Okay.
they were bringing in the usual training was just Guam, coming from Guam. So now it's being mixed up with Guam, Japan, aircrafts Hawaii. So continental U.S. too is a concern for us. It's not just because it's coming in from the U.S., but any military movements coming into Tinian is a concern. So all the previous trainings that we've encountered was just concentrated on Guam, but now we're seeing it coming from the different regions, right? Because of they're collaborating with the different
Sure.
military forces as well, from Korea to Japan.
And this is just the training aspect, no?
Yes, and that's
so-
just talking Cope North, Valiant Shield, Fury, and all these, just the regular training. And even those training has multiplied because they only started with Cope North, and now they're up 5. Right?
So when you say multiple, can you just share to the committee how many? I'm just trying to,
So roughly maybe about 5, 6
so 6.
actual trainings.
Okay, so actual training,
so-
6 of approximately multinational or
Yes.
country training.
Yes,
So
'cause,
in other
pre-
words, different approach for every. Do you get help from Central?
We do get support from NAFAC as well, with because they do send down the Colorado State, the SEMO group, which also assists us doing biosecurity work. So they do inspections pre-departure in Guam, while we do most of the inspection on arrival. So they do pre-inspection for cleanliness on all equipments and cargos, and they also do wildlife service in Guam, does brown tree snake inspection. And if brown tree snake is not available in Tinian, they send over wildlife service in Guam to do dog detection in Tinian for brown tree snakes.
Okay, so basically, how do I say this? So the people that are responsible for bringing it in, they're actually doing the other side also to make sure that there's deterrent and intervention.
Yes.
Okay. Is that okay with the agency that they're doing, or should we provide our own?
It's okay. I mean, it's okay getting that support, but we should have our own. We should be equipped to manage all of those on our part, right? Because what are we gonna do if they're not there, or if
Right.
they don't do
Thank
it?
you.
Because there are scenarios where these shipments come in uninspected, or they were never cleaned or anything checked in Guam, so or wherever it's coming from.
So can you share if there's any concerns with regards, at least this last few months since the increase in the ships coming in with the containers? Can you share with the committee if there's concerns with invasive species and intervention, and if there is, what kind of response did we have?
We didn't have any concern. We only had a snail issue, which we mitigated. We had that contained and had it fumigated, had no koi come in, and the shipper, floor company was very compliant in assuring that, they keep Tinian the way it is and nothing is harmed. But as far as any major concern, no, but whatever we encounter, if we can mitigate it, we'll mitigate it. If we cannot, we're gonna re-export all those stuff that's gonna come in if it doesn't meet the requirements.
What do you mean re-export? Sorry, you
So,
send them back?
so if, let's say, some of those shipments coming in and it's infested with Asian longhorn beetle and there's no available treatment to do it, or we can't mitigate it here, we cannot allow that to stay here. We're gonna have to contain that and send that thing out right away. Because that would destroy all of our trees here in Tinian, just like that.
Yeah, and that's actually, it's gonna bring me to my next question. I know that for some of us, maybe we're not not used to seeing customs and quarantine together, no, but it's actually been a couple years. So how are we dealing with the BTS issue? I mean, who's the brown tree snake? Fire ants, brown tree snake, coconut rhino beetle. Do you handle that too, or is this the wrong agency? Or is it-
Currently for Tinian, we basically do it all. So upon on any inspection, vessel, aircraft, we do all of those inspections for brown tree snake, LFAs, rhinoceros beetle. We also manage the invasive species trapping for rhinoceros beetle and Tinian. So for Tinian alone, we do cross-train, like the half of the staff in custom quarantine are quarantined, right? So when we first merged, our first opportunity was we started cross-training customs under biosecurity and started teaching them biosecurity. No? So in Tinian, we do it all.
Thank you, Mr. Lazaro. And I'm just staying with the same topic. Do we feel, is there a adequate amount of storage for containers for quarantine issue? Like, the ones that we have at BTS down the dock right now? Do we see the need to expand it? Or is there,
Currently, to my opinion, that snake barrier down there is too small. It doesn't meet what's coming into Tinian. My recommendation is to change that barrier and make the whole fence down at the seaport, make it a snake barrier fence.
Okay.
That would contain that whole port
so that
with a
would,
snake barrier.
once they land, they stay in there for a few days, no?
Yes, until it's inspected by a dog. But even with that, it's difficult to bring in a 40-foot container and put it in that barrier with where it's located, how it's situated there. You
Have we
got the
made-
fence line right in front of it, and
Have we made the ask already, the request, Director? With the LNR or any?
no. I did recommend it on one of the meetings when the invasive group came to Tinian regarding the upcoming rapid response training. I did toss out that recommendation of since they were building the fence line down at the port currently, to why not make it a snake barrier fence?
I think it's an important point that you make, Mr. Lazaro, and I appreciate that. We'll make note of that. And there's a multilateral agencies that are, and we're starting with CPA, yeah? They own that, but then you guys are the not only interdiction with drugs and other illegal, and the excise tax, and then of course the invasive species. So I am glad that we have this discussion so that it also allows us to discuss the next step. And I agree, we need to expand that. And I like the idea of making the whole seaport right now be at least most of it, be a snake pit or a snake containment area. Okay, so just going back to, I'm a little bit kind of confused that, can you, maybe this one most goes to the director. Can you again qualify? So the biosecurity, they incur overtime, but they book it under your general fund allocation for the year? Yeah.
As in the payout?
Right.
Yes.
So how are we reconciling that one when we know that there's customs quarantine funds?
That's going to be financial services and the secretary's office,
Okay.
because they have the access to the
You
account.
don't have any access to CQ funds?
No.
Was there a reason why they're not giving you at least to see? Not to tap, but to see? I think we need to
I'm
ask
pretty
again.
sure they can, yes.
Yeah, I'm not putting you on the spot. I just need that every RDH, road and Tinian should have access of their, not only what you're putting in, but also to see where it's going, so that you can be able to assist you on how to justify the overtime charges and all that, and then of course the other elements that you need to support your staff. Through some of the exchanges over the past, couple of few budgetary requests for fund status. I've seen that balance, and I'm not gonna get ahead of myself here and say anything right now with regards to the balance until we actually see. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to ask bigger indulgence to request maybe Mr. Dave to get a par, just the funding for the purpose of this budget cycle on how we're going to deliberate on Department of Finance, Tinian's requests. So onto the other divisions, there any other concerns with divisions, Director, with regards to need for manpower, FTE requests? And again, I make note of the time it takes to announce and to actually board. It's kind of interesting that it's green lighted prior to the end of the fiscal year, and then they tell you that it's not, but we make note of that. And that's the reason why I mentioned this earlier when the mayor was here, that if there's any decision of hiring, I highly encourage that you pin that in the budget so that we don't miss it. At least I'm letting you know, come from the Senate side, that we're going to take account of that, because we don't want to lose out. We don't definitely want to ask you to board it and then in 2 months or 3 months later, no dispensas, they didn't budget you. That's not a responsible way of doing it. So, Mr. Chairman, I highly suggest that we take note of the agency's challenges, and of course the ability to recoup their FTEs. So as far as so I just wanted to say that, Director. And about the revenue and tax, do you see any increase in?
Todo tempo, Senator, mientras más additional na posisyon para Departamento mas muli. Logi presente ni manggagi pago o ata ni mano mas credit card na division ng sisita. Kumuwas sa sobra kobli na panlistuit man mamaisin additional, no? Na tapanyagi alo kiyam sa pago ni bulan finansin.
No. Muli this is why we're here. In order for us to.
Go already see additional na FTE. No tamanan sila ko kay ni manggagit pago na posisyon gibandan fondon sa lapi. It's a finansisan ng i-gov importante. Mutumas is i-revenue tax ni giza i-cashier okay para treasury. Zani si admin officer no office na niya. Janggin to sa admin officer ng departamento mas makano sa kulolo niya pago ni guamuliliw sa staff zagi presente 4 na staff kaya galumi division of between procurement and financial services. So muling nagwa ni MOU zagi sa pago mo dog so todo ni administrative work.
Okay, thank you, Director. We'll do our best, and I also want to thank you for your guidance every time we have questions with regards to your daily, weekly or monthly activities here in Tinian. But I'll yield my time until maybe another second round, Mr. Chairman, if I'm allowed. Good.
Senator, just one recommendation, since we're going back to biosecurity. So currently, we're going to be expecting big shipments of aggregate sand coming from Guam, Philippines. So one of our challenges now is these, for what we know is happening in Guam, right? We know what's present. LFA, CRBs, BTS, right? You got the Hornets and stuff. So we don't have any regulations in our local regulations that requires us to, or require shippers, right, to fumigate these products coming in. Because what if they bring in that product and all those eggs are just in there? You can't. It's very difficult to inspect. So our ask is, can you look over those regulations or come up with legislations that could require importers, to require them, make it mandatory, fumigate, most especially coming in from Guam, gravel siya sa.
Right. Can you just I mean, since you discussed that, Mr. Chairman, is there on the top of your head, what section of the administrative code where it allows the Secretary of Finance or the RD or the Director of Customs to promulgate rules, emergency rules to address your question instead of like a usual legislative process? Is there one you can guide us, and we'll ask our legal counsel?
Should be on Title 80.62, under the LNR. Should be under the
Maybe it's
LNR.
Rob. Can you qualify that, Rob?
Yeah, we need a directive or a directive. Currently, our regulation is still under the LNR.
Okay, so absent the legislative process, and
Yeah.
because it sounds to me that it's an urgent matter.
It is an urgent matter because we did have one of the managers of Floor come in, and they wanted to fumigate, but their subcontractors are like, it's not in their regulation. We don't have to fumigate it, but they want to fumigate it. So, and we want it fumigated as well because the risk of LFA coming in here is very high. We don't know they're just gonna probably just dump that there, pick it up, leave it in a week, pick it up, dump it in that barge and send it over. We don't know.
Okay.
But our regulations is still with DNR. It's still under DNR in the administrative code. Okay. And under the local regulation, we do not regulate gravel.
But you feel the appropriate directive at least from the governor or from the
governor or directors or
Okay.
At least some from the government, right? That's gonna require them.
Okay. Thank you for
If
that.
we have a black and white that we can deliver to them, stating the importance of the fumigation for these rock products.
Can we allow see Mr. Regis also? He has some.
Good afternoon, my name is Regis, and I'm the OIC for Biosecurity. Yeah, that concern of the aggregate is going to happen sometime maybe mid-August or September, and it's going to be coming in by the tons, and we're talking about 4 to 5 days to offload. What they're going to do is they're going to park the barge and then reverse the trucks, and they have this machine that conveys it down to the truck directly and then bring it to. So the big concern here is Guam has all these invasive species. We don't regulate aggregate. And that's like a loophole for those insects to come in. The rhino beetle now is in Rhoda. It's just a matter of time of it coming here or Saipan.
Okay. Thank you. But maybe if I may ask Mr. Regis, and Director, of course the Chief is here on behalf of the Mayor, but just give us up with the proper guidance, as soon as practical, so we can be guided along with the request, because this is a concern. And I appreciate that you guys bring this up. I know this is a budget hearing, but I don't, this is the chance.
You ask if there's any concern. I mean,
Yes,
this is the time.
But that's good. Yeah, and I applaud you guys for bringing this up. But just help us, help the chair and all of us here to get through, so we can bring it up the pipe. I mean thank you, Chair. You back.
Thank you, Senator Hal Schneider. You're talking about within the next month or so maybe if you can communicate with maybe Director Mothnes and also look to the administrative code to see how that can be addressed. In closing, I think I just wanted to clarify certain things. How much does your department, Mr. Lazaro, charge for the overtime, I guess? And is it by the hour?
So the overtime is minimum of 2 hours. Then after the first 2 hours, it starts counting by the hour.
So the
So
minimum,
it's automatic 2 hours,
And how
minimum
much do
of
you
2
charge?
hours. It all depends on who's working, who's the officer, because they all have different rates. It's 1.5
So you only charge the minimum of
2 hours.
what the
Yeah.
individual salary is
Yes,
that's assessed to the company.
yes.
Okay. All right. Maybe once we get the fund certification for that account, the CNMI account, just a note to our LA to consider or maybe prepare a provision similar to what we proposed with the Parks and Recs in regards to allowing some of those funds to cover even just the salary, so that may free up some monies within those positions to cover the additional requests by the RDH, as well as to fund the 4 additional FTEs.
Oh, and Mr. Chairman, going back to the overtime, it's correction 1.5 with the fringe benefits of the officers.
I'm just trying to see if there are additional charges, seeing as how that account technically should be like a pass-through, but for some reason, there's funds sitting in there that have been accumulating. And so either maybe if these are not monies that are transferred over, where else are they coming from? If not, you're basically charging the base rate of whatever that employee salary is. And so I think based on our last report, there's over, I think, close to $500,000 in there. And so, you know, we'll try to see if that's monies that are owed to Rhoda and Tinian, and if there are additional fees that are being collected. So that way we can use some of those monies to cover some of your additional requests as well as your current FTEs. Senator recognized Senator King Neighbor.
Thank you, Chair. I just had one quick question. So knowing obviously that you guys are stretched thin, you're already accruing overtime, is there some kind of protocol in place that limits like the ability for people to leave for operational purposes, or is it wide open?
Coming in?
For officers to take leave? Like, do you guys have some kind of protocol in place that like only so many officers can take off because of, like, I'm kind of shaky on, in the event 3 people are on leave, how do you guys operate?
Yeah, so it's all depending on our schedules. So when we have a full schedule, we try to keep officers on duty and, schedule them that, we can't afford to have anybody take leave at certain times in these designated dates. So not unless they're just sick, but when people call in sick, that's where it makes it more challenging for the rest of us, because some would have to cover double ports and just jump around on the operations.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry, things are coming to light. And so going back to your response in regards to it varies. So the same kind of cargo that arrives at the same amount of time, if you send a customs officer 3, for example, in one of those days, and then versus sending a customs officer 1 in the other, with the other cargo on another day, there's a different rate?
Yes, sir. So if an officer bills an overtime, it's way more than what an inspector 1 would. So a minimum 2 hours for an officer would probably be, give or take,
So it's a luck of the draw on the vendor
or-
side
yeah, it's
if they get a customs officer 1 versus inspector 1 versus an officer 1?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Lazaro and RDH. At this time, if there's anything that we've missed, or if there's, first of all, I appreciate you preparing the revised budget submission that is not reflected in the governor's submission. We'll take a look at this and see how we can assist with your request. But if there's anything else that you feel you've missed or that we did not bring up that you wanted to share, please feel free to reach out to any of the members here today. With that, we again thank you for your presence here today. If there's anything that you'd like to close out with, offer you that opportunity now.
Si si Chairman Manglonial sa namzo membro ng isti na komite para po ako na oportunidad anita diskuti ni na halmida i departamento iafan ang necesita para i departamento sa i empleo gi fondon sa lopi para i operasyon sa empleo anay servisyon gobernamento ma extende proprio para i komunidad. Hudsesiyan nagitolo ni na sinyaninsu como man mailihin na serbente en público. En farmacéutico pareo anesinya inespia empeño para todo este sea y financia necesidad gihafa bahana fondon salapi gi presente. Ungan sumensa sa ekonomiya na tempo mula man preciso zaman credit card na asunto ni gobernamento afafana pues kinineno inayang so inangoko gimauli na desisyon para minauli enteramente gobernon Marianas. Sin más, Jesus Masis and Bonus Studies.
Thank you, Director. At this time, we will take a 3-minute recess to allow for the next testimony to get situated. Short recess. Present with us this afternoon, Mrs. Suzanne Perez, the RDH for Department of Commerce, Tinian. The department had requested for 6 FTEs, and that amount was maintained. However, it looks like one of the vacant positions is not funded for the next fiscal year. They are requesting for 197,000, but was only allocated 135,000. Their significant requests under operations is to cover the rental at 15,600. Other than that, do we have minimal requests for supplies and operations? And so with that, I would like to hand the floor over to the RDH for any statements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Chairman Manglonia and member of the Fiscal Affairs Committee. My name is Susan Perez, and I am the resident department head for Department of Commerce. As I'm fully aware of the financial challenges the CNMI will have in FY25, I will keep my comment brief and focus on my department's most critical issues. In FY24, I have 7 funded FTEs. However, the Governor FY25 budget proposal for personnel removes 1 FTE and 0 funds another FTE, leaving the department with 5 funded employees. I'm currently routing the personal action of the Administrative Officer 1, which is the FTE that was eliminated in FY25. Therefore, my first request is to reinstate funding for this FTE so her employment will continue in FY25. Second, the ABTC Law Enforcement 1, which is also funded in FY24, is only funded $1 in FY25. Given the increased activities of the DoD buildup, it is essential that I fill up this position to ensure our ABTC laws and regulation. I'm sorry, where I'm at. Okay, second, the ABTC Law Enforcement Officer 1, which is funded in FY24, is only funded $1 on FY25. Given the increased activities of the DoD buildup, is it essential that I fill up the position to enforce our ABT laws and regulation? Without filling this position, Saipan has to send ABTC officers to Tinian for the events. This actually costs more money than simply filling the position. Therefore, my second request is to reinstate the funding in FY25 for ABTC officers. As of my operating expenses, I currently use my revolving funds of approximately 8,000 per year to pay my utilities. Recently, the mayor has allowed me to fund my most essential expenses under the anti-tobacco funds. Therefore, I should be fine in FY25 for my operating expenses as long as the anti-tobacco funds are not reduced or suspended. Therefore, to summarize my request, I'm asking that I maintain the 7 FTEs budgeted in FY24, and I am provided the flexibility to use the anti-tobacco funds for my department's operation personnel if necessary. Thank you again for allowing me to identify the most critical needs of my department, and I'm ready to answer or address any question or concern you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Did you have a revised budget as well? Because from the governor's submission, it indicates that you've only requested for 6.
Yes, we do have a revised one, and we even have the email copy that we sent to the OMB.
So the one additional that's not reflective in the revised budget submitted by the governor's office is the AO, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Earlier you mentioned 8,000 in revolving funds that you receive for the year. Is that all accounts, across all accounts? Or how many accounts do you have under your authority?
For my revolving account?
Yes.
I only have one,
Which is the,
ABTC 1959C account.
have you received any financial support from the main, from the secretary?
Yes, I do. Actually, as I mentioned, when I was in Saipan on her confirmation, that she helped me to get one of my officer get trained, uniform, all other expenses, and every time we have an event on Tinian, we need additional officer, and she always sent someone to help us during those times.
Do you know how many corporate report fees you collect in a year?
So now I don't have it on hand.
Do you get any of those monies?
No, this is, I think, the third hearing that we had.
Right.
That I've been asking help if I can get, because as far as I know that this is I think during the rebulliment time, I think Senator Chud is one of the person that tried to get that funding to give us 25%. And that's from that far, we don't have any funding that we receive from them, because as far as I know, like what I said, how many hearings already, that 25% of that income, I think, should comes to Tinian, and 25% goes to Rhoda.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm not sure if you were there at the time. I mentioned that it was the acting secretary that was made aware, even just about a month ago, of the suspension of the limitations on that account. And so even then, or maybe at the time, she wasn't aware that it could be used for other operational needs. But even so, maybe if you can establish that communication with the secretary to see if that's something that she can transfer over or assist some of your operations with, we can determine at a later time whether you are getting the support from the secretary, acting secretary.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Actually, if she will get confirmed, I do believe that she will able to help us, because even though she's only the acting, she give us some help.
Okay.
And that's really, good
Yeah.
for our department.
Thank you. Have you received any, like I know with Rhoda, we got a vehicle, but I know it was a used vehicle. Did they offer you the same assistance?
So far, we didn't get one, because they gave one long time ago during the rebulliment time. He gave me, partial of that vehicle that I purchased, and of course the Senate gave me 10,000 to rent, but I didn't rent. I went ahead and put it together, so I bought one vehicle. So another one that I have, which is a pickup, is we use the anti-tobacco account to purchase one. So I have one pickup for my operation.
When you say you use the anti-tobacco, is it separate from what the mayor has under his authority, or that's through the mayor?
Actually, that's through the mayor. That was quite a while, right? Yeah, through the mayor.
Or that time when there was a restriction on the uses of those? Or in the current fiscal year or prior?
Oh, no, that happened quite a while
Okay.
ago. But at that
That's
time,
been quite a
we
while.
justified that because it's an
Right,
anti-tobacco
right.
vehicle,
Okay.
and that was justified the purchase.
Okay, thank you. And right now, your rental is being covered by the mayor, right?
Yes, Chairman.
Under the anti-tobacco account. So that's the reason why we didn't list that under the ARPA. So at the beginning of the fiscal year, we paid that also with ARPA. And then it came to the point where we needed to find more flexibility within the use of the anti-tobacco funds. So then our argument was that a lot of these expenses under the Department of Commerce, if you do not cover them, then you wouldn't be able to keep the office for anti-tobacco, have a phone for anti-tobacco, have field. So we use that justification in terms of using the anti-tobacco to cover most of our operations.
Okay, thank you. I meant to ask this question earlier when the mayor was here, but since it pretty much deals with all agencies renting, what's the update on the civic center? Because the previous discussion was that I guess it will be used to house a lot of these agencies? Is that?
Absolutely. So eventually, the update, and it's ironic that you asked that because we're actually supposed to meet with the PAO office next week, is we believe it's still in the design phase. One of the issues, Senator, that we have is, all of the Tinian FEMA projects, we're not the grantee. The municipality is not the grantee. The PAO office is the grantee. So all communications between FEMA and the status reports go directly to the PA office. And that's one of the reasons why we're asking for an audience, so we could find out exactly, where these projects are, because we don't have direct communication link with FEMA.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because even I don't know, maybe I can talk with the chair of the delegation about this, because maybe have a joint meeting, because Mayor Aubrey will be coming up next week as well to meet with the PAO and NMHC in regards to some of the projects and the progress with those projects. And so, at this time, I would like to recognize any member, and I recognize the vice chair.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon to you, RD Perez. So just to clarify, there's only one revolving fund account under ABTC, correct?
That's correct.
And you have approximately 8,000 a year in that account, okay? Does your department receive any federal grants?
No,
No federal grants? Nothing that from Central that they share with your department?
so far nothing.
Okay.
I'll wait until my secretary will be confirmed
Okay.
and I will ask.
Okay. Under the registrar's fees, do you have an estimate of how much was collected for your municipality in 2023?
I have it, but I don't have it on hand right now.
Okay.
So maybe I can email it to you
Okay,
guys.
that'd be great. And then do you know to date, what it is? What you've collected so far?
I have no idea right now how much it
Okay.
is, but I have it on the office because we collect data.
Okay. To your recollection, do you see an increase of?
Yes, yes,
For FY '24?
yes.
Okay. And so help me understand the process. So when businesses are open here, what is Commerce's role here on Tinian when businesses are open? I mean, do you just collect all the application and supporting documents and then send it down to Saipan, or do you guys actually process everything here? And
Okay, not everything we process here. Hypothetically, if you're a sole proprietor, you want to open a business, right? So first, they have to go to finance for finance to clear them if they're allowed to open the business or not. The reason why, as far as I know, is in the event or renewals of sole proprietor. In the event you're a sole proprietor and you didn't pay your BGR whatsoever,
Okay, so that
so
flags
they will
them.
be the one to
Okay.
approve it.
Okay.
Then they come to me, which is the Department of Commerce. So we are the one who gonna stamp it for clearance for the compensation, the workman's compensation.
Got it.
So once it's clear, they go back to to finance to get their license. But on the corporation and nonprofit, we send the annual report to Saipan, and they're the one who stamp it there, email it to us, and that's the time we give
So
it to the
essentially, you
customer.
guys just gather all the
Yes.
the required documents and then send it to Saipan for
Yes,
processing.
except the business license clearance,
Okay.
except that.
Okay. Would you be in support of, or has there ever been any discussion or dialogue between your department here and Central as far as giving you guys the independence and autonomy to process things here on Tinian and collect the fees, due to you guys, and keep the fees that you generate here on Tinian? Has that ever been a topic of discussion?
Okay, when I came in 2015, everything is processed on Saipan.
Sure.
That's the business license. Stamp everything in Saipan. So businesses will wait for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then when I came in, I spoke to my secretary and I said, I know every inch of Tinian, so I know whether legit or not, or they are pony or not. So I know every single one here. When they open the license, I should be the one to stamp it, to approve it, and clear it because
Yes.
I know the businesses who are in Tinian.
Yes.
So fortunately, they allow me. That's
Okay.
what we're doing for the businesses. But for the annual report and all the certification for the nonprofit and all the corporation and the LLC. Everything is done in Saipan. So I will be having a dialogue with my secretary soon as everything is in place. That I will ask to get the chance to do it here so that we don't need to wait for the customer.
That would be
Yeah.
great. I think, every municipality should have that autonomy. Tinian is a very small island with very small population, and there's
Yeah.
really, I don't see any major concerns as to, having that much control over process. And then, so does your department here also review and kind of like reconcile um, the 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 businesses that are incorporated, whether they are filing on time? And I don't know if you're aware of the incident where a business was being issued their business license for more than 5 years, I believe, and they weren't even current with their
Annual report.
yeah.
Yes, actually we do. And I feel sorry for the businesses because once they are delayed on paying it, I've seen a lot of them. Some of them pay $7,000,
Right.
$2,000, or more. So we do review and Saipan will do the process and
Okay,
stamp.
I just want to make sure that that's not also happening here on Tinian. For the life of me, I don't know how this business was able to get their business license renewed without,
Yeah.
I thought that there were controls in place to ensure that, that things like that would flag, right, the business license, which they do now for revenue and tax, right? So any taxes that they owe, they flag. Commerce to ensure that they don't move forward until they settle those accounts.
We have a list on all the businesses and we know who didn't renew and not because Tinian is small. But to answer your question about the revenue for the annual report, I think the legislature would need to make a law for us to get that funding for Tinian, for
Okay.
Rota, and whatever belongs to
I mean,
Saipan.
I could be wrong,
Like
and
the
we could check,
ABTC.
but maybe that's a regulation that could be promulgated under the secretary's office. So we as legislators try to stay clear from any internal systems if we don't need to be involved. And if a regulation can be promulgated within the department itself, I would highly recommend to start having those discussions and truly start giving the municipalities the independence and autonomy to operate, within their means. And there's always a way to consolidate reports. Don't wait until the end of the year to consolidate them, but monthly would be nice, but quarterly, as small as Tinian is with the number of businesses, it's very achievable. So I would highly recommend that you approach the secretary and start having that discussion. I know she's very supportive.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to your collaboration with her and hopefully start seeing some major changes, within the department itself. As far as the budget request, I mean, you have the bear skeleton. I mean, I don't know what else we could question on this request, but thank you for really trying to live within your means and being very resourceful, right? And that's all I have. Oh, she gave it to us, right? This one? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I wanted to know, so with the revision of the additional FTE that you're requesting, right, for the law enforcement officer, was that submitted to OMB prior to July 1st or after?
I have the email here. So what date is the email here? Yes, we submitted it.
Before the July 1st submission?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a date of when you submitted it to OMB? Oh, geez, way before. Okay, well, I'm glad you shared it with us because it wasn't reflected on the revised budget that was submitted back in July. So for the record,
Yes, we submitted it on March 14, 2024 at 2:25 p.m.
okay, great. Thank you so much. That's all I have, Chair. I yield.
Thank you, Vice. Any other member? Senate, recognize Senator Hofschneider.
Thank you. Just, I think, Director, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Senator.
I take note on the extra FTE, the 7, because
Yes,
that's what
sir.
was indicated. Thank you for submitting the revised, and I appreciate also that you able to conduct your services here with what you have. And is there any? I know that I asked this question before with other agencies, but we always want additional if possible. But are we good with the ABTC the way it functions right now, like on special events? I know there's 4 signature events for the municipality that you always, and they gladly assist, even previous administration, they always assist you with your request for ABTC
Yeah,
enforcement.
ever since the start I got into
Right.
this position, I do get a help from the ABTC. It's just need to, give them the schedule ahead of the time.
So may I ask, perhaps, is there an opportunity also for your ABTC employees to go out for training or cross-checking and all that?
Yes, actually, they handle all the training and all the fees and everything. I think that was 3-4 months ago, I just had my one officer got trained, and they handle including the gun, the uniform, the housing, and everything. I really getting help from them.
That's good. And nice to hear. And I appreciate also you coming up and testifying for the nominee.
Thank you.
One of the things, like, I know that, Mr. Chairman, I know this kind of is not a budget thing, but I want to just mention it for the record that, our good director here is always very active in the community as well. And, she goes out of her way to promote health and fitness for our community, especially the women community. And they encourage the guys to come out and follow suit. But, these are the things that I think it's important to make note, aside and separate from what their responsibility as Commerce Department. So coming from this side, Director Perez, I appreciate the creativity and also utilizing what resources you have within the Missouri Revolving Fund to make sure that you fulfill the obligations and what's mandated under the law for Department of Commerce. I don't have any pointed questions. As always, we're here to assist. Of course, the chief knows. And if there's any other information that comes up before we receive the budget and do our final deliberation, we're open to communicate with you. Chief?
Senator, if I just may clarify, in FY24, Commerce had 7 FTEs funded. So in FY25, this submission, the administrative officer was deleted. But that paperwork is right about to be signed. So basically, they've already gone through the process and everything. So the question that we talked with OMB is, and the statement that we said during the mayor's time, in FY24, there's funds there, so let us hire. And then we'll work with the legislature to try and fund FY25. So the reason why she's asking for the FTE to be in the Department of Commerce funded is obviously it adds more security to that position. However, if it can't be, then provide the flexibility within the anti-tobacco funds, like we've done a couple years ago, to allow those funds to be used. We tried to identify those funds, but they wouldn't let us use it because they said that the authority wasn't there in this fiscal year. So we said, okay. So we said, well, let's revert back since it's funded in FY24. And that's why the most important thing with their budget is to reinstate that one FTE, because that person could be hired at any time. There's an individual right now that we're talking about, not just a piece of paper, right? Not a position. And then as to the law enforcement situation, sure, it's a dollar funded. Again, if it could be funded, great. If it can't, give us the flexibility to use the anti-tobacco. And in the administrative provisions within the second senatorial district, like we've done in the past, allow us to use it for personnel. Like I said, we tried, but right now we're restricted to only be able to use it for operations.
It's a good piece of information, Chief, and I appreciate that you remind us again one more time. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. Recognize Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just some follow-up. So under ABTC, how many FTEs do you have there?
I have 2 FTEs.
Two.
3, I should say. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Where's my eyeglasses?
Three
Yes.
personnel.
Yeah, including the one that was funded $1.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, and under ABTC, are there any required certifications or license for on an annual basis? So firearms.
Yes,
permits,
actually, one of my officer already got, newly hired, already got their firearms and completed the
So is that
training.
an annual?
They have an annual, what do you call this, training.
But to be certified or I don't
Once
know,
they get
permit or
certified, no,
license?
once they get certified, they just need to go refresh their training.
Okay, I'm just asking because I know that we just met with DPS and they have annual certifications for their firearms. So I was wondering if that was also applicable to your ABTC officers.
They just need to get refresh training once
Okay,
you get
So
certified.
that's covered under the training that you're asking for $2,000?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and is that when they get the training, do they go to
Off
Saipan
island.
or off island?
Yes.
Like to Guam or off island?
No,
off
just
island?
in Saipan.
Oh, Saipan,
Yes.
okay. So 2,000 would be sufficient for you?
Yes, because I always get help from my secretary.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And I never get the 2,000 either from the last budget. So everything was paid by the secretary in Saipan,
Okay.
whatever training we had.
Do your officers incur any overtime for ABTC?
No.
So no overtime?
No, they're also in austerity
Oh,
situation.
okay. Okay, thank you for the clarifications. I yield, Chair.
Thank you. This would also fall into the same category with law enforcement in regards to being fully funded. So I'm not sure. I mean, that's still something that we're reconciling, but I know that they are or should have been included in the 100% allocation. So that's all we have for now. RDH, Perez, if there's anything we've missed, please feel free to reach out. Thank you for providing this updated personnel listing. And again, please try to reach out to the secretary in regards to some of the revolving accounts based on the budget submission and what has been reported under the revolving accounts. Like even just for the registrar, there's 2.6 million in there. I stand corrected with my 500-some thousand that I mentioned earlier. So those are some of the revenue sources that you may be able to tap into. And so if you're having any difficulties in that request, please feel free to reach out to the members.
I will.
All right, if there's anything else, RDH, would you like to close out with any statement?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone and for listening to my testimony. And I hope and pray that my 7 FTEs will be granted. And I look forward again next year to see you guys here at this podium.
Thank you, RDH Paris. At this time, we will take a 3-minute recess for the last testimony. We are back from recess, and the last testimony we'll receive on today's agenda will be from the Department of Labor. And present with us is the RDH, Mr. San Nicolas. The Department of Labor submitted a request of $301,000 to cover 8 FTEs. The governor's proposal, it seems like they've allocated an additional FTE, but only allotted $243,000 for what looks like 7 field positions currently. There are 2 vacant positions that are unfunded. The department submitted a request for $22,000 for operations. Of that amount, $12,000 is requested to cover the office rental. And then the $10,000 is just spread across different activities to include supplies and fuel, communications. And with that, I hand the floor over to Director San Nicolas for any remarks.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Honorable members of the Senate standing on fiscal affairs. Good afternoon, Mayor. My name is Jason Nicolas. I am the resident department head for Tinian CNMI Department of Labor. Before proceeding with discussions regarding our budget submission for fiscal year 2025, I want to bring to your attention 3 budget items on our request. They are the rental office, which we requested 12,000 or 1,000 per month to occupy the space located within San Jose Village. Utilities, in which we requested 4,005 or 375 per month to keep the power running. And communications, in which we requested 2,000 or 166.66 per month to keep the telephone internet line operational. These items are under the operations for the department. These, I believe, are the most critical items that requires funding for fiscal year 2025, which have been zeroed out under the governor's proposal for fiscal year 2024 and the next fiscal year 2025. I would like to respectfully request this committee's assistance in ensuring that the one position, namely that of labor law enforcement trainee, be processed promptly. We are currently working on securing funding for this position. I would truly appreciate anything your committee can do to help in this regards. We have had a good fortune in receiving financial assistance from the Tinian Mayor's office. For this, we are very grateful. However, I am aware that this assistance from MOT may, in fact, be unsustainable in the long run. Therefore, I respectfully request for this body to fund these three critical items and to grant our budget request for fiscal year 2025. Now it is my pleasure to engage in discussion further of our department's budget and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Sir Nicholas. I guess I find it kind of odd how, at least for your department, there was an additional position that was allocated. Was there maybe a revised submission that you've requested for an additional FTE, and this is something they've included, or?
I think this is what they included.
And this wasn't coming out of here?
2023, I was only funded for 8.
Right. And so you've maintained that request at 8?
Yes. Now, this budget for 2025, I have 1 that the labor law enforcement 1.
That was added
Yes.
by the administration, not by you?
Not by me.
But what you need is the trainee position, is that correct?
Right now, yes, the training, because right now we are waiting for the NOPA. We went through the hiring process through OPM.
Okay.
And
But that
now,
person won't qualify for enforcement 1 position yet?
at that time, yes, I think she'll be qualified for the enforcement 1.
Okay. What assistance has been provided by the Secretary's office, if any?
The WIA, right now WIA is paying our utilities.
All of it?
Yes, the whole, it was like 355 a month.
Okay. That's all they provide?
Yes.
Okay. Director, do you have any information as to the unemployment?
Not at this time. I tried checking up on the census, but that's just seeing my white.
But in terms of, so from what we've heard from, at least from Rhoda's perspective, is that those that are applying for NAP, I think they submit like some kind of certification to labor or get some kind of certification to labor. Do you have, is that situation similar here? And if so, do you know how many come in for that certification?
Yes, but it's yes, the NAP, they come into our office to certify that they're looking for employers and whatnot, but that's broken down into renewal. Say, one individual is renew every 3 months, another individual every 6 months.
But based on those that are requesting for certification, are you able to determine?
But it's gonna be hard to determine if they're unemployed, because you can be working and at the same time receiving food stamp.
Right. So your certification doesn't determine whether this person has been looking for a job and,
No, they have to get certified for them to get that they come to the office and certify that they are looking for a job.
okay.
But in some ways, then we don't know if they're really out there looking for a job.
Okay. Do you have any data on the CWs that are here that file through your office, or like at least the JVAs that are being announced through your office? Based on those figures, how many applications are submitted?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the numbers you're looking for, but for foreign national workers working here in the island of Tinian, I have a full-time status. The foreign workers, full-time status at 335. Part-time status 14.
Do you know what? You know what?
But
Would
the
be the-
breakdown of CW to H21B,
visas,
H21, I can get that, but I don't have it right now.
Do you know how many positions are currently being announced, inclusive of the construction activities up north?
Right, I don't have that right now,
Okay,
but I can get it and email it to you.
thank you. So all other expenses, I know you said we as paying utilities, but all other expenses are covered by the mayor?
Yes.
All right, at this time, I recognize any member. Senator Carl King Neighbor.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Director Santa Claus.
Good afternoon.
Briefly, you were requesting for an additional law enforcement training. What is the financial impact on that request? What is the salary?
I believe that was like 16, 17.
16, 17. Something.
Yes, 16, 17,000.
And then just on your communications, the 2,000, what is that all inclusive of? What is that all inclusive of, the 2,000 for the communications?
Oh, the landline and internet.
For one landline?
One landline, one internet.
Okay, that's it, Chair. Are you?
Senator Jude. Recognize.
Good afternoon, Director. Thank
Afternoon.
you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome back. Thank you for being here, Director. Just quickly, more on our operational side. So just for clarification purposes, on the current FT you have is 8, no? Budgeted under FT, I mean, general fund?
7. Right now, I only have 7 staff, including
No,
myself.
no, but the one that you're budgeted is 8.
Yes.
So, but
But
there's
there's those
additional
9.
one that's being added by the administration.
Yes.
So it's not the one that you mentioned earlier about the going through the paperwork? Is it
That's
training?
the training.
So that makes it 9? Or
8.
that's the 8?
That makes it 8.
Okay, so then the additional one is the labor law enforcement.
Yes.
1.
Yes.
So that's, okay. So I wanted to just qualify, can the trainee, let's say, for example, we fund this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, let me backtrack a little. The training, is it, what is the fiscal impact on that? So just we make sure that, you know, since you said that, they're gonna probably hire him or her, what is the financials on that one?
Right
You
now,
know?
I don't have any.
Okay, so it should be inclusive on the proposal, no? Okay. I just want to make sure that we include it in the budget. As I indicated earlier, a lot of this is, you know, being in motion for hiring, but not necessarily, you know, inclusive in the proposal just yet. So this is important that we have this exchange,
Yes.
this dialogue. So as far as the utility situation, so we don't have any more incidents of disruption with the prepaid. You're pre or post?
Prepaid.
So no more no more concerns of possible termination.
No.
Okay.
We got close once.
Yeah. No, yeah, we're very much aware of that. So I just and I appreciate that you reached out to the secretary, you know, his
Yeah.
office to help us or help you facilitate. One of the things that I want to recommend, I think the vice president, the chair, and recommended. One of the one of the things that we, us in the legislature, we you know, we appreciate if we can get guidance on is if like statistics, data. So you know, I respectfully ask that put together that statistics that the vice president is asking about unemployment and how many, you know, categories of what of which type of employment that the Tinian is you know, what kind of employment do we have here
We're
locally?
down to
Whether it's private, public, you know, and all that. It's important for us, and maybe not just right now, but you know, looking ahead.
okay, yes, sir.
So I know that you operate, you're looking at the employment service section, no? Yeah,
Yes, all those information come from employment.
Okay. All right. So other than what you just mentioned earlier about your FY 2025 request, primarily the rental, the utilities, and I'm looking at your so yeah, other than you, I see office rental. Is there anything else that you wish to bring forth before I yield my time?
The fuel and lubricant.
Fuel lubrication. Okay. About $1,000, no, you put in?
Yeah, because right now I'm having problem with my vehicle.
So is that enough for the year, the 1,000?
Yeah, just to buy what parts I need.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you, Director. And now you, back, Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Schneider. I think in closing, Director, have you had any discussions with the Secretary in regards to the apprenticeship program?
Yes, and also with the Director Torres, C. Francis Torres. We're
Have-
communicating about the,
Have we had any businesses show interest in partnering with the labor?
we reached out, but we got no response yet.
Okay,
But we're reaching out to the business.
okay. I guess I just wanted to bring up the concern in regards to the unemployment rate. I mean, I think flying in or somewhere in Saipan, I saw like positions open within our particular company here. Are there still shortages in manpower that the company is seeking
Not that I
from
know.
elsewhere?
All these big companies, right now, they're in compliance with the regulations, keeping up at 30%.
Right. No, but in regards to getting the people to apply or even work with maybe NMTI to get them certified so that they can qualify for some of these positions?
I need to reach out with NMTI right now.
Okay. Do you have any active cases within your department? Labor cases?
Not labor cases, but agency cases.
That may require an administrative hearing or?
Once they get through their investigation,
Okay, so you have open cases?
yes.
Okay. Have you been getting any support from the AO? I mean, the hearing officer?
Yes, my investigators, they communicate with the hearing officer and
Okay.
with SAPAN enforcement,
Okay,
and also with US labor.
okay. Do you know how many WIA, or I guess WIOA, no, are being employed here in Tinian?
Right now, 2
For the entire island?
yes, right, this is as of January, April. Right now, our WIA rep is, I cannot say on leave, but right now they're gonna be, right now she's not employed because I believe her contract expired, but now they're gonna try and bring her back under a different position.
Okay,
But that one is still in the works with WIA and SAPAN.
okay. So the other government agencies or other private companies aren't utilizing or going through WIA, taking that route?
I believe at one time the Department of Fire, or this, I'm not sure, one of the 2 agencies.
Okay. Okay, that is all I have for now. If there's nothing else from the members, we want to thank you for your time, Director Sir Nicholas. Again, if there's anything that you feel we weren't able to discuss today, please feel free to reach out to any of the members.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. With that, members, we still have another meeting tomorrow that's a separate agenda, so we'll go ahead and adjourn today. Tomorrow, we have the remaining agencies, but we are going to start off with DLNR up first, followed by CNCA, and if we have time in the morning, we may go through Public Works. And any other announcements from the members? If there's none, can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, there was a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Today's committee meeting is hereby adjourned at 4:07 PM. Thank you.